Welcome to InspireOne's webinar on using customer service as the differentiator today and in times to come. Let me start with posing a few questions as food for thought. Do you believe customer expectations are growing by the moment? Is it enough to provide a powerful product at a competitive price point? As a customer, what would you look at when making a choice between two companies providing exactly the same product with great features? In a highly commoditized marketplace, how do you build a differentiator? According to the Customers 2020 study by Walker, a customer intelligence consulting firm in the US, by 2020, customer experience will overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator. The study, which was published in 2013 and that we will share with you post this session, found that changes such as the explosion of digital everything, highly empowered customers across, and the acceleration of innovation are having a profound impact on customer expectations. And bearing that in mind, bearing the experience of all of you participating in this webinar, bearing the glut of products nearly undifferentiated in the market today, we aim to engage with you in near dialogue on how can we leverage customer experience as a differentiator. We will look at what customer experience is all about, why we must focus on customer experience as a differentiator, and how not only has one company already started using customer experience as a differentiator, what it has done and what you can do to build your strength in creating a magical customer experience every single time. Before I move on, just a little about us. We are InspireOne. In India, InspireOne is a global brand for Connexa, which is an IBM company that takes care of leadership, organizational transformation, leadership assessment, and development. TAC is a world-renowned expert in sales development. We set up sales academies, we impart sales training to people all across organizations. And TMI is a global leader in organization development and performance enhancement, including customer experience. And I am Shalu. I am a trained coach, a certified emotional intelligence coach, as well as an OD practitioner. I come with 21 years of work experience, and at InspireOne, I am the subject matter expert on result maximization and customer experience. I will be engaging with you today as we explore the world and future of creating magical experiences for our customers. So, what is service to create a customer experience? What is good service or bad service? I'm sure we all know about this, but rather than speak about it, I'd just share two videos with you.
Good afternoon, SL 146 is ready to taxi.
Mr. Smith boarded? Just a minute, I'll just check for you. Okay. He's just boarded.
Okay, go, go, go! Mr. Smith, can you look outside? There's a message for you. Yes!
That was something, wasn't it? Do you think the experience Mr. Smith had was a good one? Do you think Mr. Smith would have flown SN Brussels Airlines again? Would he have recommended the airlines to others? Would you? What was so different about what the employees of the airlines did? They went all out to create a great customer experience. Someone took ownership and got the necessary approvals, mobilized all concerned who could make a difference and an impact, and sent out a call for action. Everyone involved left what they were doing and jumped in. This kind of orientation towards the customer can only come in when everyone in the organization owns their customer, internal or external, and puts their shoulder to the wheel when required. There is a simple philosophy in TMI. External service quality can never exceed the quality of internal service. What this speaks of is that if people, internal customers and suppliers, are not willing to work with each other, the experience of the customer will never be great. What we saw in the S&B Airlines was a perfect example of that. All required teams came together and saw to it that the customer got to know it was a boy. They could have chosen to relay the message to Mr. Smith via their radio control. They chose, instead, to make the already special moment memorable. Chances are he would have spoken about his experience till his grandchildren grew into adults. Wouldn't we all like to have such experiences? Wouldn't we all like to create such experiences? But that begets a question, a fundamental one. What is customer experience? If you notice, the world of service has gone from service to customer orientation, to customer satisfaction, to customer delight, and now it's come to creating a phenomenal customer experience. 70% of our buying experiences, research tells us, are created based on what we feel, on how we feel we are treated. Customer experience, therefore, has to be on top of people's minds. Customer experience, then, is a set of actions flowing across levels aligned to the strategic initiatives chosen by and as an organization. So if we were to define it, we would say it is strategic initiatives focused on creating a competitive advantage by delivering aligned and optimal experiences to customers. For example, Virgin Atlantic, known for its efforts in creating a great customer experience, once again rose to the occasion when a passenger was robbed in New York of everything. The distraught passenger called the airline's office, and what happened next is everybody's dream come true. 2 employees of Virgin Atlantic went to his hotel, found out that he had been dropped right there in New York, and he had a flight to London. But because he was robbed of everything, he had nothing. He had no money, he had no passport, he had no identification with which to board a plane. These employees helped him get a temporary passport, booked him on another first-class flight back to Heathrow, where a limousine picked him up to take him back home. They were possibly able to do all of this because of the focus of Virgin Atlantic on the customer. How do you think the passenger would have felt? Do you think he would have told this story to others? Well, that's exactly how I got to hear it. And in today's day and age, whether or not you meet a customer's expectations to create a star experience for them, they will take to social media about it. Of course, we also know that if it's a good response, a customer will not speak so much about it. They'll maybe just go and tell about 8 people. Even the responses to good feedback on social media will be limited to congratulations, that sounds great, what a great experience. On the other hand, communication of a bad experience gets multiplied exponentially and goes viral. Haven't we all seen that? To the extent today that organizations are really focusing even their strategy on how do they leverage social media to become their mouthpieces rather than just being at the mercy of social media. Does customer experience then become an imperative for service providing companies? We'll just take a look at why. So, why do you believe customer experience is therefore critical to any organization? Let's look at some research done in addition to Walker's forecasting. Genesis, a research firm, studied the reasons why businesses with a high focus on customer experience invest into it. They found that doing so improved customer retention by 42%, improved customer satisfaction by 33%, and increased the possibilities of cross and upselling by 32%. Impressive and important statistics, those, but not the only reason why. Customer service, customer experience impacts both the bottom line and beyond the bottom line worlds. So what is the bottom line world? Everything to do with money, numbers, targets, profits. That's the bottom line. Everything that is to feeding this bottom line. And yet there is a whole other world exists out there, and that is the beyond the bottom line world. What do you think is the beyond the bottom line world? That's right, the world of feelings and relationships and goodwill and brand loyalty and retention, both customer and employee really, and attractiveness, hiring new talent and expanding the business base. Let me tell you the story of Joshi the giraffe. If some of you have already heard it, I'm sure you'll still get goosebumps listening to it. It certainly presents a compelling case for a yes in both the bottom line world and the beyond the bottom line world. In case you've never come across this fantastic tale, the story begins when customer Chris Hearn's son left his favorite stuffed giraffe, Joshi, in their hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, a legendary name in service, after a recent stay. Mr. Hearn assured his distraught son that Joshi was just staying a few extra days on vacation. He then called the staff at the Ritz and relayed the story he had told his son. In an all-star effort to make everything right for their customer, the staff at the Ritz created a series of photographs, and I'm going to show you two of those, that included all of the activities Joshi had been involved in during his extended vacation. Here's another one. First things first, they knew Joshi couldn't just be aimlessly wandering around the Ritz without a staff car, so they made him one. Not one to sit around and do nothing, Joshi helped out in the loss prevention department. Joshi then decided to melt away some stress with a spa day. You can see it right there. And to top it all off, Ritz sent Hearn and his son a booklet filled with information about Joshi's stay, as well as a host of pictures showing what a good time he'd had. What a story. All they needed to do was courier back Joshi to Mr. Hearn's son. And yet, to uphold what Mr. Hearn had said to his son, they actually went ahead and they did all of this just to make a little boy happy, just to make the little boy continue to have faith in his father. Do you think Mr. Hearn would have come back to the Ritz-Carlton? Do you think he had a great customer experience? Do you think he would go and tell other people about it? What would that mean for the Ritz-Carlton? More business? More people coming in and saying, that is the kind of service that I want? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, we all want to be made to feel good. We all want to be shown importance. And that's exactly what customer experience does. But this is not all. According to a study, in a world of increasing competition, there is very little product differentiation in the same segment. Take the case of mobile phones. While both price and product features may have an impact on the buying decision, how the customer feels they are being treated by the company, what they've heard from others, how they get treated when they walk up to a store which is selling those particular phones, all of these will tilt the decision in favor of the ones they feel best about themselves with. Will I look smart when I carry this? Will people appreciate me when they see this? Will people be able to applaud my decision when they see the phone that I'm carrying? Those are just one part of what makes a decision. Will customer service help me? Will it bring me peace of mind? Will the phone not hang or crash or die out on me? How's the battery life? Is the organization thinking about what I need? Or are they just selling me a product because they have a product to sell at the price they would like to sell it at? Customer experience encompasses both features, hard, tangible features that they are able to provide with the product, as well as the experience, the feelings, the emotions that a person goes through, a customer goes through when they become an owner of the product or an availer of the service that they've received, much like Mr. Hearn's son. Am I important enough for you? What's the experience you're creating for me? And yet, this is not all. According to a study by Oracle, 8 out of 10 businesses are planning to adopt artificial intelligence as a customer service solution by 2020. Hashtag bots. China Merchant Bank's front-end bot already handles 1.5 to 2 million customer conversations per day. Forward-looking enterprises are especially keen to leverage AI, artificial intelligence, for customer service, a cost center that traditionally scales linearly with revenue. Artificially intelligence augmented customer service promises attractive efficiency gains and have generated widespread attention. There are two main ways that businesses are augmenting their customer care units with artificial intelligence. One is front-end AI-powered bots, and the other is AI-assisted human agents. The first one, a front-end AI-powered bot, is a conversational computer program that interacts directly with a customer without human intervention. Can't be very nice, can it? Efficient, yes. Personally, nice, who knows? On the other hand, an AI-assisted human agent is a human customer service representative who is supported by AI technology. Best of both worlds, I'd say. Other terms for this model, of course, include cyborg or human in the loop, etc. Interestingly, both these models are being used in service departments across industries. Some enterprises adopt the AI-assisted human agent model to reinforce their existing customer support staff. KLM, for example, the flag carrier airline of the Netherlands, began answering customer inquiries via Facebook Messenger last year. To help lessen the average waiting period before a customer's issue is addressed and resolved, they use something called Digital Genius to provide an AI solution layer. In this model, the AI interprets the conversation and suggests response choices to the human agent. The human agent then goes ahead and builds a human connect with the answer or the response that is being given to the customer. A chatbot can only really bring about a yes or no or a detailed answer also, but it's the element of the human connect, the emotional connect, that really does bring about a difference and creates that special customer experience for people. It's very interesting. While a lot of banks, for example, in our country, are going the artificial intelligence and the digital way, there is a bank, the IDFC Bank, that prides itself for having you speak to a customer every single time because they say we understand that humans trust humans more. So AI-assisted models are not limited to text inquiries at all. Interactions, a Boston-based customer service company, for example, uses what is known as natural language processing or NLP to intelligently route voice calls. By using voice biometrics, they can identify 100 plus features to a human voice to instantaneously authenticate and process a call. Mary McKenna, Director of Product Management, estimates that 30 to 50% of human call center tasks can be streamlined with AI technology. It may sound scary for the number of jobs that might get shaved off. And yet, it is also one of the primary reasons why it is imperative that everyone be on top of their customer experience game. Also, an AI plus human element to customer experience opens up a whole new world in the not so distant future. So to prepare ourselves for that future, to prepare ourselves where the thinking work is going to get done by a chatbot, by artificial intelligence, the human connect, the intangible, the soft, the personal aspect of life, of customer service, of bringing about delight will still always rest with human beings. To prepare ourselves for that future, to prepare ourselves for being assisted and not overtaken by artificial intelligence, and being able to provide a fantastic, fabulous, phenomenal customer experience, let's look at how we can look at using customer experience as a powerful differentiator. The premise of customer experience as a set of strategically aligned initiatives and activities makes both management and employees be the center of ownership. Let's take a look at this. Of course, there are different ways of saying it, but we'd really like to share with you how one of our clients has been taking steps for the past 3 years to make a difference to their customers and on an increasing basis. So the case or the study is about the customer durables industry in water solutions. This organization had entered what was perceived to be a nearly mature market, and there were 1 or 2 players who were really holding the major chunk of market share. Now, this organization usually aims to be either number 1 or number 2 in the market that they are operating in, As after a little while, when they realize that it's not cutting the ice, they tend to exit. That's the focus that they have because they believe that when they are number one and number two and customers can trust them, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. This organization chose to work on creating a customer experience rather than just a product and price experience. Wisdom in that, especially given the market that they had entered. What is it that they really did? They created a consolidated strategy of what they wanted from their sales partners, their marketing people, their service technicians, their internal people, and so on and so forth. Everyone knew what was expected of them. Communication was done. People were made to understand that at the end of the day, if the customer was not getting a great experience, nothing of what they did technically, functionally mattered. They also created refined and defined processes to make it easy for the customer to do business with them. They set up systems so the customer could talk to them easily. And they listened. Did it happen overnight? No. Did it only happen because somebody at the top took a decision? No. Everyone down the line was very aligned to making a difference to their customers' lives because, hey, this is about water, the essence of life. So it was about making sure that their customers actually had complete faith, complete trust, not just because of the promises made, but also because they saw in action when a technician came to their home and resolved any issues that they might have had. One example of setting up systems was creating an app. Of course, in today's day and age, if you don't have an app, you're really, really behind the line, aren't you? So they created this app which their technicians could carry easily and the customer could give instant feedback. That feedback was then relayed internally and steps were taken to ensure that if it was a mistake, it was not repeated. If it was a process lacuna, then the process got refined. And if it was something else that made the customer smile, that got done and was shared with other people so they could leverage off that. They could think creatively as to how they could go one step ahead and then really, really be as customer oriented as that. Once all these things were done, created, settled, the baton was handed over to the people executing the strategy, right down to the last mile. They trained even their third-party people, created SOP manuals, standard operating procedures, manuals for the bare minimum of service. Till then, I had heard of standard operating procedures for the technical stuff, the functional stuff, the hardcore stuff that an organization, which is a product organization really, is known for. We worked with them to create standard operating materials to operationalize service in such a way that anybody who walked into the organization, any new recruit, simply had to go through the defined activities and they were ready at a minimum level that was acceptable to the organization to providing customer service. And I'm very happy to report that those people, once they have the fundamentals in place, they actually take steps. They go up like literally outside their box and they do things which are amazing to listen to. And that's exactly what. This, however, would have been a waste and come to naught if the people down the line did not shift to a mindset of owning their customer. What helped was not just signals from the top, but also visible stories of how people were going all out to take care of their customer. Stories abound of how technicians delayed personal medical appointments to take care of a customer whose unit had broken down, or how, when a customer's neighbor moved cities, and a few months later called to speak to this customer and generally shared how he was facing difficulties with his water purifier. The customer called up his technician from our client's company. That technician reached out through a network to send a technician in the neighbor's new city the very next day. Definitely sheer customer delight was created. Customer loyalty got cemented. A legendary story was born. Kind of like Choshi the giraffe. Employee morale and motivation has steadily been going up as they see the management care for them. By strategized focus on their development, they see unflinching support from all involved in the customer value chain. What did we do? How were we involved? When the conceptualization of creating a differentiated story for the customer came up and we were involved, there were deep discussions. There was a complete understanding of what it is that was required. Of course, We all sat down, brainstormed, identified what all needed to be done, what was a must have, what was a good to have, and what was okay, let's not do this right now, it can be done later. And it wasn't just thought of in the here and now. The idea was, and that's the vision of the leader, the idea was, let's create something which is a long-term solution, a long-term sustainable plan. And at the same time, let's start with catching the low-hanging fruit of making sure that we're already setting a base for a customer experience. Year on year, we have been identifying and working on solutions which are aligned to their strategy of making sure that a customer is at peace of mind because they have this company's product there in their kitchen. Today, when we go to meet our client for more meetings to do more stuff, there is a vibrance in their office, a spring in their steps, and a positive urgency to make a difference is palpable. And yes, this while they continue to fine-tune whatever it will take to exceed customer expectations. This, however, is not all. There is, but obviously, an impact to the bottom line as well. Customer satisfaction scores have gone up. Customer referrals have increased. Conversions from awareness to ownership have actually gone up. The relationships with customers and with technicians and internal to the company are stronger and deeper. Customer stickiness has increased. Ownership has gone up, of course, and this is although a more internal result to speak of. What's interesting is that the number of complaints, the really, really serious ones, those have gone down. Interestingly, one of the things that we say is if a customer isn't complaining or if your customers aren't complaining, it is a sure shot sign of apathy and they couldn't care less. They're simply going to switch providers. So what we saw was that more customers started to complain. The nature of those complaints had changed because customers were finding that they were able to open up easily. The technicians were willing to receive those complaints, and then everyone from the technician right up to the general manager of that organization were willing to work, not just willing to work, actually working on handling those complaints. The beauty of this was that the number of GM escalations, the highest level of escalations, actually came down to almost nothing. Any trust issues that the customer might have had earlier have definitely gone down. All in all, a very happy place to be in. Good stuff for that customer, and this is just one of them. What can be done to recreate this in your organizations? How can you, too, create great customer experiences? I am going to share with you something that we believe it's a very rudimentary model, of course, and we'll be very happy to meet you if you'd like to know more about this model. How is it that we actually go ahead and create customer service as a differentiator, customer experience as a differentiator in our organizations? So we'll take a look at that at two different levels. The first level is organizationally, how can we make a difference? So the first thing is listen to your customer. Define your customer experience vision. Align all your resources that need to be aligned. Re-engineer processes if need to be related to that customer experience vision that you've defined. Make sure your people are trained, enabled, and empowered to be able to ensure everything that needs to be done to achieve that vision gets done, and then some more. Break the box, be innovative, find new ways and new things to do. Much like if you remember the second video that we saw of SN Brussels Airlines, instead of simply relaying the message through air traffic control and through the radio to the pilot and from the pilot to the guest or the passenger, that team actually decided to go out of the box and do what they did. And of course, once you've achieved success in that, make sure you keep repeating it. Each one of these steps, of course, has a lot of more detail, a lot of activities, a lot of challenges also in achieving these that go in. However, that's what we are here for. We'll be very happy to talk to you about how you can actually enable your organization today to be able to meet the challenges of 2020. About how every individual can do things. First, of course, listen to your customer again. There is a vision that has been defined in your organization as to how they would like customer experience to be. Align yourself to that vision. Maximize the resources that have been assigned to creating a great customer experience. Look for whatever unworkability is there in the processes. If you find something isn't working because you are the person right next to the customer, right in front of the customer, if you find something is not working in the process, take the ownership of calling it out. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't just be in a place where you say, oh, nothing is going to change. Because if you raise it, and if it is actually genuinely valuable, it will get changed. Upskill yourself. Don't stay stuck in the old way of doing things. Today, we operate in a very, very different fashion. The world as we knew it a little while ago, well, maybe a few years ago, has changed. Everyone wants everything. We live in an insta world. Everything is instantaneous. Gratification has to be instantaneous. Problem resolution has to be instantaneous. And if you yourself are not upskilled, you may find it a huge challenge to be able to rise to the occasion of customer experience as a differentiator. And not just that, remember what we spoke about. Most organizations are looking at creating an artificial intelligence plus human connect as they provide customer experience. Are you ready to upskill yourself, or are you ready to be left behind? That's a call you need to take. Break the box. Identify what you can do differently in any given situation with the skills, with the resources that you have. Don't fall back on tried and tested solutions alone. Check with people, talk to people, identify what you can do. By and large, and you'll be surprised, your customers themselves will actually be able to turn around and give you some solutions. You just need to run with them. You need to make them doable, livable, real. And once you find successes, go back to repeat. That's a little of what we had to share with you. Do remember, there will need to be aligned efforts with the management and the doer level, the individual level. Do remember, there will need to be aligned efforts between the management and those right there with the customer. The expectation that the ownership of the experience lies only with the management or only with the execution level people must go, and it must go now. At InspireOne, we work with our clients right from helping articulate a powerful service strategy and subsequent actions, development areas, and so on. We also work with them to build service cultures that go into making powerful customer experiences. Before I end, I'd like to end with this short video.
What does it take for your business to create truly remarkable experiences for your customers? It's all about investing in the right areas. Guided by 3 words beginning with M, your planning and evaluation of customer experience efforts become as easy as this. Meaningful. Does it impact the customer in a direct and personal way that is meaningful to them specifically? Meaningful experiences go beyond the transaction and touch your customers on an emotional level. They make your customers feel good about doing business with your company. Next, is it meaningful enough to be memorable? Just because an experience is meaningful doesn't mean that it will stand out in your customer's mind. You need to determine if the customer will remember the experience an hour, a day, a week, a month later, because only memorable experiences have the potential to impact loyalty and retention. Think about it. If they don't even remember the experience, there is no way it can impact how they feel about your company. And finally, is it measurable? Can you gauge the effectiveness in a way that measures the impact? Whether you use quantitative data like retention rates, revenue increases, and customer satisfaction, or qualitative data like voice of the customer and open-ended comments, it must be insightful, shareable, and actionable. Our customer experience budgets are limited. We must be able to prove the value of our investments. What happens after you create meaningful, memorable, and measurable experiences again and again? Customers return for your top-notch care and become advocates who not only believe in your products, services, and brand, but who'll share their positive feelings with others, friends, family, acquaintances, social media networks, and more. Today's most successful companies have learned it's not enough to just reach customers with relevant content. Creating meaningful and memorable experiences and being able to tie them to business measures is the key to creating passionate advocates and achieving long-term business success. One example of a company that does this exceedingly well is the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz is renowned for its luxury hotels and where staff members deliver unmatched experiences and customer service. But did you know the Ritz-Carlton conceptualizes the brand's image and the ambiance of each of their locations through something they call the Ritz-Carlton mystique? The mystique is created through an ingrained performance culture that mandates every employee notices, cares, thinks, and acts with a true focus on what makes each customer stay special and unique to them. Take a tip from the Ritz-Carlton's playbook and look at where you want to be versus where you are today in terms of creating meaningful, memorable, and measurable customer experiences. Capitalize on the meaningful and the memorable, and you'll have plenty of positive results to measure. When this becomes the way you do business every day, word gets out. You'll be the company with the unmatchable customer experience.
A few years ago, I was hired by a large supermarket chain to lead a customer service program to build customer loyalty. During my speech, I said, every one of you can make a difference and create memories for your customers that will motivate them to come back. How? Put your personal signature on the job. Think about something you can do for your customer to make them feel special, a memory that will make them come back. About a month after I had spoken, I received a call from a 19-year-old bagger named Johnny. He proudly informed me he was a Down syndrome individual and told me his story.
I liked what you talked about,
He said,
but at first I didn't think I could do anything special for our customers. After all, I'm just a bagger. Then I had an idea.
Johnny said.
Every night after work, I come home and find a thought for the day. If I can't find a saying I like,
He added.
I just think one up.
When Johnny had a good thought for the day, his dad helped him set it up on the computer and print multiple copies. Johnny cut out each quote and signed his name on the back. Then he'd bring them to work the next day.
When I finished bagging someone's groceries, I put my thought for the day in their bag and say, "Thanks for shopping with us."
It touched me to think that this young man, with a job most people would say is not important, had made it important by creating precious memories for all his customers. A month later, the store manager called me.
You won't believe what happened. When I was making my rounds today, I found Johnny's checkout line was 3 times longer than anyone else's. It went all the way down the frozen food aisle. So I quickly announced, we need more cashiers, get more lanes open, as I tried to get people to change lanes. But no one would move. They said,
"No, it's okay. We want to be in Johnny's lane."
We want his thought for the day.
The store manager continued.
it was a joy to watch Johnny delight the customers. I got a lump in my throat when one woman said,
I used to shop at your store once a week, but now I come in every time I go by because I want to get Johnny's thought for the day.
A few months later, the manager called me again.
Johnny has transformed our store. Now when the floral department has a broken flower or unused corsage, they find an elderly woman or a little girl and pin it on them. Everyone's having a lot of fun creating memories. Our customers are talking about us. They're coming back and bringing their friends. A wonderful spirit of service spread throughout the entire store. And all because Johnny chose to make a difference.
Johnny's idea wasn't nearly as innovative as it was loving. It came from his heart. It was real. That's what touched his customers, his peers, and those who read this story. Great service comes from the heart. Will you be a Johnny today?
For anything service, from creating a service culture across your organization to imparting customer delight training, we are happy to be of service. Till we meet again, over a computer or in your office, InspireOne wishes you great customer experiences. Thank you very much for participating with us.